All right, so we're back. This is lesson 14, spiritual adultery. Okay, this is a really good lesson to understand. This is placing God over the world, so it's a little more in depth about just, putting God over the world in your life. And this is a really great lesson for you to understand. Really great lesson to understand, actually. Really great lesson to understand. So it says this. It says, then it came about as soon as Gideon was dead, that the sons of Israel again played the harlot with the Baals, and made Baal Berith their god. Thus the sons of Israel did not remember the Lord their God, who had delivered them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. And so he says this. It says this, and this is very interesting. I want you to understand this. This is a term that hopefully today you can understand what it means. It says harlot, okay? Harlot, 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 harlot. And so understand that what a harlot is. A harlot is a prostitute, okay? It says a woman who has many casual sexual encounters or relationships. And so understand that it says but this is not in a physical sense. It says they played the harlot with the Baals and with the Baal Berith, their god. And so literally understand that they committed adultery. They committed spiritual adultery with other gods. And so let's talk about that and what that really means for real, okay? Let's talk about that and what that really means for real. Okay, and let's talk about this first. So Jesus first said this, and this is something I want you to understand about us as a generation. Understand that as a generation, he's not saying generation as in like a certain generation of people. You understand that this is a whole generation. Humanity is a generation to God. Like we're all part of the same generation to Him. Like we're not a different generation than the last. This is a generation. And so understand what He says is, for whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will also be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. And so understand is that it literally says that whoever's ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generations. It says adulterous and sinful generation. You understand this is how God literally looks at us, that this is an adulterous generation. And what that means truly, I'm going to keep reading real quick and we talk at the end. Let's read some more. We got to read more to understand. Let's read more to understand. So Isaiah 54:4-6 says, fear not, for you will not be put to shame, and do not feel humiliated, for you will not be disgraced. You will not be disgraced, but you will forget the shame of your youth, and the reproach of your widowhood you will remember no more. For your husband is your maker, whose name is the Lord of hosts, and your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel, who is called the God of all the earth. For the Lord has called you like a wife forsaken and grieved in spirit, even like a wife of one's youth when she is rejected, says your God. And so understand that literally, he's literally saying, let's go back. It says he is called the God of all the earth. He says your husband is your maker. And so you understand that, like, we are his children, but he wants us to have as intimate of a relationship with him as a marriage. Your husband is your maker, and your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. That's our Redeemer. Our husband is our maker. He's the Lord of hosts, and he's the Redeemer. He's the God of all the earth. For the Lord has called you like a wife. He's called us like a wife, forsaken and grieved in spirit. He literally called you like a wife, forsaken and grieved in spirit. And that reminds me that Jesus Christ said this. He said that Paul was writing, and he said that Jesus Christ said, my power works best in weakness. My grace is all you need. And so it's understand he calls us in our weakness. We're like a wife, forsaken and grieved in spirit. Even like a wife of one's youth when she is rejected, says your God. And so understand he's literally saying to us, like, bro, I'm your husband, I'm your maker. I'm your maker. Your maker is your husband. I'm your husband. I'm this close to you. I'm trying to be in your heart. I want to dwell within you. I want us to be one. So just like you understand, like, it's so beautiful because it's really how he describes like women to be wives to men in this world. It's how he wants all of humanity to be to him. He wants you to submit to him. He wants you to look to him for your direction and judgment in his life. He wants you to lean on him to be provided for. He wants you to lean on him to protect you. He wants you to lean on him. And so it's so interesting for real that he really treats us, and he really, like, just like he explains about women and being the wives that he calls them to be is submitted to their husbands. That's exactly what he wants from us as humanity, is to be submitted to him like a wife to her husband. And so understand that this is one of the things you understand. This is that, it's so important to understand because people don't understand how deep adultery goes for real. He says adulteries are a defilement of the heart, and you have to understand what that means. He calls an adulterous generation. And let me put up this next scripture, and then we'll talk about a little more. You might understand. So give your all to the Lord. It says Matthew 22:36. Matthew 22:36-37 says, "Teacher, what is the great commandment in the law?" And he said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind." And so understand that literally what God wants from you is just like, listen, just like a husband wants his wife to love him with all their heart, all their soul, and all their mind. Like, literally, give me your all. That's literally how the Lord looks at us. I want your all. I want all your heart. I want all your soul. And I want all your mind. And so you understand that what spiritual adultery is when you give your heart to something else, you are committing adultery against God. And guess what? You're going to feel punished inside for that. When you are giving your heart to something else, when something else is running your emotion over God's happiness, you're going to be punished for that. That's spiritual adultery. Spiritual adultery. Spiritual adultery. And so you understand that God is a God of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. So he says, and with all your mind, right? You can understand when you give your mind to other knowledge, other wisdom, and other understanding, you are committing adultery against the Lord. You're going to feel punished inside, and only his understanding is perfect and leads to peace anyway. It's just the way it's the way he did it. So you have to understand that literally this right here is he's like, marry me. When you marry me, you love me with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. But when you cheat on me, you give your heart to something else. Something else is running your emotions. When you cheat on me, you give your soul to something else. You're literally putting your whole worth of who you are on something else in this world. When you cheat on me, you're giving your mind to other knowledge. And I'm trying to tell you, this goes deep. Because it's one thing to say you believe in the Lord, but when you speak, I'm trying to tell you the truth. Every time you speak, you are choosing a knowledge to speak from. Every time you speak. And he literally says, this is what comes from the mouth, comes from the heart, and what defiles a man is what comes out of a man. So understand that what defiles you is what comes out of your heart. Your mouth is showing your heart. And so every time you speak, you have to understand you are speaking from a knowledge, a perception, and understanding. But there is only one truth and one way and one life. And so you have to understand when you're not choosing Christ in his wisdom and his knowledge, you are cheating on the Lord. And he sees that as adultery. Like, literally, imagine in your mind, close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing there. And imagine on one side you see Jesus Christ, and imagine on the other side you see the world. Just say a globe is just sitting there. Every time you talk, you run to one of those two places before you talk. Every time you talk, you either run into something, knowledge that you learn in this world, or you're running to knowledge that you've learned from Christ. Every time you talk. And every time you run to that globe, you are committing adultery against the Lord. Every time. Every time. But guess what? When you do that, all you do is sentence yourself to stress. Every time. All you do is sentence yourself to stress, because the world's knowledge and wisdom understanding is one, is built on lies. Two, it is not made to give you peace. Three, It's by what you see, and everything that you see is going to be no more. It's going to stress you out because there's no real solution in the world's wisdom. There's no solution. It's just dead information. They really just let you know how dead you are, for real. How likely it is that you're going to die. Well, but guess what? When you love the Lord, you know you're going to die. You don't have to worry about that. That's not a worry. I know I'm going to die. I know I'm going to come into my eternal life. I'm not worried about dying. I'm sorry. I'm not. And so that's why it's important to understand that every time you talk, and you have to put more respect on the Lord. More respect, more respect, more respect. Put more respect on him. Put more respect on him. Because I'm trying to tell you, what happens is that you think that, oh, well, Jesus Christ lived 2,000 years ago. How could he tell me anything about now? Jesus is Lord. He is the Word. The Word was in the beginning. The Word was with God. The Word was God. Understand that everything that how God created was through Word. Literally, Jesus Christ was set apart and filled with that Word. He is the Word. Understand that he is the beginning and the end. So, and we're just in the middle. So understand this is that literally this is not the end. This is not a time that Jesus Christ does not know about. And he taught about the heart. The heart has never changed. The human heart has always worked the same. Your heart is going to live forever. Has always worked the same. And so put more respect on him. Because you really think that, oh, that's outdated information. Blah, 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 blah. Are you serious right now? Do you really think the Lord's wisdom is dated? He's eternal. That means that his knowledge and words are everlasting, and he literally said that it's easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for his words to pass away. That's the truth. It's easier for the heaven and earth to pass away than for his words to go away, to disappear. That's the truth. Easier. He said easier than the whole word you see to be gone than for his words to fail and not be true. And so you have to understand, you have to put more respect on the Lord and who he is. And understand that he has the knowledge and wisdom for you to get by day. He has the understanding for your heart to lean on so you can be at peace. But you got to put more respect on him. More respect. More respect. That he is the answer, that he is the truth, that he is the way, that he is the life. More respect. More respect. And that's the problem in this world, is that we are, just like Jesus Christ said, I ain't saying it myself. Let me read again for you. For whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation. This is an adulterous and sinful generation. That you run to the knowledge and wisdom of the world for everything. You never run to God to understand what's going on. You never run to God before you speak. You never lean on him before you speak. You're adulterous. And it's not adultery out in this world, it's adultery in your heart. That you're playing the harlot in this world with other wisdom. You're just giving yourself to whatever wisdom and understanding and knowledge comes your way. Somebody tells you about astrology. Oh, you fall into that. You done fornicated with that. And then somebody told you about the universe. You fell in love with the universe. And then somebody told you about tarot cards. You fell in love with tarot cards. And then somebody told you about twin flames. You fell in love with twin flames. Somebody told you about that psychology was the truth. You fell in love with psychology. Then somebody told you that, I don't even know. Hey, somebody told you feminism was the truth. You fell in love with feminism. Then somebody told you that I don't even know. All these different isms and everything that you fall in love with. Somebody told you all these things and you've made love to them and you let go of your first true love that was God. Lean on him. I'm trying to tell you, babies are the smartest. Because they don't talk. They're pure. They're like, I'm just not going to talk. I think they're smart for that. I think they're smart for that. So maybe if you just don't have nothing, no wisdom to lean on God, and maybe it's just time to be quiet until you gain it. Stop being adulterous. Don't be a spiritual fornicator. And it's easy for people to talk about physical fornication and physical adultery. What about the spiritual side that actually matters in your heart? Because Jesus simply and easily forgave and had mercy on the adulterous woman, but he has no mercy on this adulterous generation that you decide in your heart to lean on someone else than Jesus Christ and the Lord. And so understand that he calls us an adulterous generation, and that's just the truth. And if you weren't adulterous, you love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, you wouldn't question, you wouldn't ask for signs. You wouldn't ask for something divine to happen in your life. You would just believe if you weren't adulterous. But you're so adulterous and so sinful that you need something to show you the way. But Jesus Christ has gave you all the sign that he's going to give you. He said, I'm going to go into the, just like Jonah was in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights, I'll do the same. And so understand, this is the end of this talk. I had a great time doing this talk with you. Like Jesus said, it's easier for his words to disappear than for heaven and earth to disappear. Understand, you have to lean on his word and his understanding. Only way to know the Father is to know the Son. That's the truth, that he is a reflection of the Father. And so that is the end of this talk. I hope that you've had a great understanding. I hope you've grown tonight. I hope that this has done everything good for you in your life. I'm pleased to do this with you. Have a great week. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow.